Netflix movies are made for people with short attention span. The TikTok generation. That's basically what Matt Damon has come out and confirmed. I mean, we kind of knew this anyway, didn't we? We knew that this was a thing that was happening. Yeah, especially on Netflix, I feel. Now, not necessarily on every single movie, but it does seem to be something which is creeping in. Right? It does seem to be something which is creeping in. And actually, I would say even on blockbuster movies, they don't have to be short. Okay, movies can be tailored to people with short attention spans and still have a really long runtime. I'll get some flack for saying this, but I firmly believe Avatar is an example of that. Not necessarily the first one. I feel like the first one seemed to have an element of consistency and it didn't flip-flop so much between narratives. Whereas if you look at The Way of Water, that one, and very much especially Fire and Ash, it had this almost like ADHD flip-flopping between narratives and scenes, and well, there's this and then there's this and then there's this. It's kind of all over the place. And so you can still have a long runtime, but cater to people with a short attention span. But it definitely seems that Netflix is doing that right now, and I just wanted to talk about it because I think this is really bad. I think this is, bad for our people, us as a civilization. IQs are on the decline. That is a fact, right? Like IQs are on the decline. No matter whether you look at it, whether you look at the data may contradict my statement, maybe, sure. But if you just look at raw interviews of individuals from way back when, writings of individuals way back when, you look at the curriculum of individuals way back when, leagues above what people are able to articulate today or able to learn today. IQs are on the decline, and I just think this is part and parcel of this tragic dismantling of our civilization and worthwhile conversing about, basically. So Matt Damon has basically come out and said that Netflix movies are being made for people on their phones, so short attention spans, the TikTok generation, right? And he says that's bad news for Warner Brothers. That's what this article says anyway. And that is bad news for Warner Brothers because that means that Warner Brothers movies will be very similar, which is a fair point to make because obviously Netflix is going to buy Warner Brothers if that deal goes through. So, as this article notes, we'll just read from this. It's on that Park Place. It's just easier to read from this and use sort of points that they're making here because they've got the quotes from the Joe Rogan Experience interview with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. So as it says, for years now, audiences have sensed something was off about Netflix's original movies. They look expensive, they feature major stars, and yet many of them feel strangely hollow, over-explained, oddly paced, and forgettable almost the moment the credits roll. Now, thanks to Matt Damon, we finally have confirmation of what's driving that creative shift in Netflix movies. So appearing alongside Ben Affleck on the Joe Rogan Experience, Damon offered a remarkably candid explanation for how Netflix approaches movie production in the streaming era, and why so many Netflix films feel like they're talking at the audience instead of trusting them to follow along. At the heart of the issue is Netflix assumes viewers aren't really watching, which is mental, isn't it? Oh, that's mad. Like, so basically, Netflix assumes that its audiences aren't actually watching the movies themselves, which is fascinating, really, because I get that's the definition of slop content, isn't it? Really, Netflix is almost admitting just out in the open to making slop content for content's sake, right? Like there's no artistic element there. There's no art. There's no conversation with the viewer. There's nothing to leave them thinking about anything other than just this drivel that's on the screen. It's mad. What a mad way to make movies. I think that's truly insane. That's mad. Anyway, whatever. So Netflix movies aren't designed for theatres. So Damon explained that the traditional structure of action filmmaking has been fundamentally altered to suit Netflix's at-home second screen audience. What? So here's what he said, and that's interesting. The standard way to make an action movie that we learned was You usually have 3 set pieces. 1 in the first act, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. You spend most of your money on that 1 in the third act. That's your finale. And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes? We want people to stay. And it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue because people are on their phones while they're watching. That's mental. It's a stunning admission and one that instantly reframes years of complaints from audiences who felt Netflix movies were overly, basically too much exposition, aggressively front-loaded and strangely repetitive. So that's just what they've been doing. That's crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy. So Netflix isn't optimizing for immersion. It's just trying to keep retention, keeping viewers clicking away in the first 5 minutes. I mean, if you had a reputation for actually making good movies, people wouldn't click off within 5 minutes because they'd give it more of a chance. But the problem is Netflix has produced a litany of garbage for years now. So you've created a rod for your own back there, Netflix. You've created a scenario in which you've produced movies that are poo. And so now you have to cater to everyone's preemptive disdain for whatever you're about to show them. So you have to create, a retention hook within the first 5 minutes. That's mad. You're mental. What are you doing? So he's... That's crazy. It is actually crazy. So Affleck was quick to note that Netflix's formula isn't the only way to succeed on the platform. He pointed to the limited series Adolescence as proof that audiences can still engage deeply when creators trust them. But then you look at Adolescence and it didn't do any of that shit, Affleck said, and it's effing great. And it's dark too, it's tragic and intense. It's all about this guy who finds out his kid is accused of murder. There are long shots of the back of their heads, they get in the car, nobody says anything. Yeah, but that's true, right? Apparently, Adolescence is the exception. Affleck argued that they demonstrate Netflix's assumptions about audiences' attention aren't universally true. And that's true. I mean, that isn't right. The assumptions aren't a clear-cut, hard and fast rule. I mean, that is mad, though, isn't it? That is mad. That they've produced so much slop crap that now you have to cater to people's automatic preemptive disdain. Why don't you just focus on making good films? Why don't you just do that? It's crazy, right? And again, the thing that it's a secondary screen is that people will just be on their phones. That's the assumption. That's mad as well. What a shame. What a shame. Anyway, there you go. Netflix just creates slop, it seems. Just slop content. As Matt Damon himself basically confirms. Mental.